Mark Meirowitz, a political analyst who joins me now from New Jersey. Mark, good to have you with us. So the Justice Department, understandably trying to have the publication of this book blocked. It's citing national security reasons. Presumably, the publishers and Bolton himself reckon they're rock solid on this.
Now, I read the lawsuit. I'm a lawyer. I read the entire lawsuit of the Justice Department, and I believe they will prevail in part in the sense that the government will make this into a constructive trust. In other words, any money that Bolton earns on this book, he's going to have to turn over to the government. And, bottom line is they started putting this out for publication and giving copies of it before the government permitted it. But if I may say, this is to me, this is a very simple case. John Bolton was a private advisor on national security. Why would he be going out and discussing these things? There have been many security advisors to presidents, and I just find it very inappropriate to try to profit from what is the service to the country, which is confidential service to the president. And then again, to raise the point that the president should have been impeached when Bolton himself refused to testify in the House, when the House was considering the impeachment, and said he wanted a judge to rule that he would be able to testify, despite the fact that the president didn't want him to testify. But then later on, after the impeachment, then he said, I want to testify in the Senate. But at that point, he knew that the Senate was never going to convict the president. So I think there's just a lot of posturing here.
A lot of commentators are saying, look, Bolton should now face questions over those allegations. Bolton should have given evidence back during the impeachment inquiry. Do you think it would have made any difference if Bolton had told what he knew about the fact that Trump was politicizing all his foreign policy decisions?
Well, you're accepting surely as given, as true as what he's saying. And a lot of people who are around the president are saying it isn't true. And then you see, had this been done at that time, then he would have been a whistleblower.
If the National Security Advisor had given testimony to that end about his belief about the politicization, do you think it would have made any difference to Republican support for President Trump?
Right. Look, not at all. Not at all. Why? Because at the end of the day, the Senate, which was under Republican control, did not feel there was enough there to convict the president. The whole story of Ukraine was brought out there. Now, in retrospect, Bolton comes along and says, oh, they should have impeached him. They should have done this. They should have done that. And then he brings up all sorts of allegations. The one that I think is very, very amusing is the one where Trump thought Finland was part of Russia. Well, in actual point of fact, historically, the Russians did invade Finland and try to take Finland over. And there's something called Finlandization. And at the end of the day, the Finns were able to...
Okay, but you're not seriously suggesting that the leader of the free world shouldn't have a better grasp of geography than Mr. Bolton is claiming about President Trump. I mean, President Trump apparently didn't know that the UK was a nuclear power.
Once again, that's Bolton's statement, disparaging statements of the president. They're not proved, and the people who are the advisors around him say that's not true. And if every advisor to every president came out in public and told every single thing that president said or did, and that is including Roosevelt and Truman and Carter and Reagan, gee whiz, we've been reading these books on Amazon every 5 minutes. But guess what? These advisors don't do that. Why? Because presidents are human beings, and they're quite mortal, and they don't know everything. And that was the failing of President Carter. He wanted to know everything. They don't need to know everything. They need to surround themselves with good advisors and loyal advisors. And it seems to me here what we see is completely a mismatch between Bolton and Trump. Can you imagine he was his confidential advisor on national security, and then comes out and gets a $2 million a payment on a book. Now, about Trump's knowledge, I don't know what his knowledge is, but the evaluation of the American people in 2016 was that President Trump should be the president of the United States, as opposed to Hillary Clinton, who is a very, very intelligent individual, very knowledgeable, was a Secretary of State. It's a political system in this country. And the people get to decide who they want to be their leaders. But when a president has an advisor, if these advisors are going to go out and write books and talk about all the internal things, including things that may be classified, that is the claim of the government. The government says the lower level reviewer said that it was okay, but then a higher level reviewer said it wasn't okay. Then on what basis did they go out to publish the book? That was totally wrong. Now, by the way, the lawsuit asks basically for this book to be submitted to the review by the appropriate White House officials, like every other book that is ever written that has classified material. There's actually an interesting book by Robert Baer, who worked in the CIA. If you open up the book, much of the book is blackened out because it's classified.
Okay, Mark, we're going to have to leave it there. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you very much indeed for that, Mark Meirowitz there.